you money. You cannot say you owe that person belongs to you now, but the money he owes you, that belongs to you. That is why debtors control is an asset, because the money they owe you is actually part of the possessions of your business. Do you understand that? Debtors control has a debit balance, as you can see. I'm just going to try and see if I can get it back on the screen. It is, I don't know why, I think how do they do this in the maths class, also with Teams? Does the screen get same thing there? Keep the PCI. Is jy die nuwe graad 8 Johan, kan jy dit aan die einde van die periode terugkom? Sê vir jy wat ek het gou van ek neem 'n klas op. As jy kan jy aan die einde van die periode terugkom, maar gaan ek hier staan al die boeke maar jy moet voorteken. Ek kan dit net nou doen nie meer, kan aan die einde kom, hoor. Right, now let's see. So debtors control being an asset will have a debit balance. We just saw that Mr. Soap bought from us, meaning that he now owes the money. So what happens to if Mr. Soap owes us money? Will the debtors owe us more money or less money now? He bought from us. So in total, will debtors now owe us more money or less money? More money. So on the debit side of debtors control on the 31st, I'm going to do this in green as well. He bought for 4625, and we saw this in DJ1. Are you okay with that? You're fine? In here, I need to write the name of the other account. And what was the other account? Sales. And you see, we wrote in sales, and now we're going to write inside debtors control that this is sales. Understand this? I'm going to make the screen a lot smaller so that you can actually see what it is. I'll try to put it back on this, but internet is just not strong enough for this. Doesn't want to share. Right, I'm going to make this bad network quality. It's all it keeps on telling you. I'm going to make my screen a little bit smaller so you can actually see. Remember, double entry principle says every debit needs a credit. Look there. We've credited sales with 4625, which means another account must be debited. Debtors control is debited. Are you fine with this? Double entry principle. One account being a debit, the other one being the credit. Doesn't want to share the screen. Doesn't matter what I do. Do you have the same problem in the math class? Also didn't want to share the screen. I'm also recording this now, so let's hope that. But even if you record it and doesn't want to share the screen, you don't see the screen either in the recording, because I do it for one of my grade 12 learners. But in any case, right, can you see that this now has been posted to two accounts, B7 and N1. So underneath the column total, you must write. This was recorded to account B7 and to account N1. Are you fine with this? Anybody a problem? Those of you who did this during the lockdown, for you this is old news. If you didn't do it, for you it's going to be a little bit more challenging to get used to this. Right, the next column that we have is cost of sales. We know that the name of the column tells you the name of the account you have to post to. So cost of sales goes to the cost of sales account. There's my cost of sales account. You already know that this is an expense. You know this from the first term. Because it is an expense, it will increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. Are you right with that? The more you sell, the bigger the expense becomes. So that 3,700 Rand will increase my expense on the debit side. Let me just get back there. On the debit side of cost of sales on the 31st, I'm going to color that in because I want to show double entry principle again. I saw this in DJ1 and the amount was 3,700. Inside cost of sales, we now need to write the name of the other account concerned. What do you know? What do you always sell? What do you call the stuff you sell? Trading stock. So remember, inside trading stock, you will inside cost of sales, you will always write trading stock because that is what you sold. You're not selling the bank, you're not selling stationery, you are selling trading stock. Are you fine with this? You are selling trading stock. Can you see that cost of sales was debited, which means another account must be credited? The name of the other account is already on the screen. What is the other account we need to write in? Trading stock, because every debit, there's cost of sales, needs a credit. How do I know what account will be credited? It's written inside cost of sales already. Trading stock is an asset. We've done this in the first term. Because it is an asset, you know that it will increase on the debit side and it will decrease on the credit side because that is the rules for assets. Right. When you sell, if you think about this, when you sell your trading stock, do you have more or less trading inventory? If you sell it, do you have more, do you have less? Less. On the credit side of trading inventory, 2020, August the 31st, you're going to write cost of sales because that is the name of the other account concerned. You saw it in DJ1. And the amount was 3,700. Are you okay with this? I'm going to just make the screen a little bit smaller again so that you can see that both accounts in one go. Remember, every debit must have a credit, every credit must have a debit. That's the double entry principle. We've debited cost of sales, the expense, 3,700, and we set the other account concerned as trading stock. There's trading stock or trading inventory. Must be the credit. Why? Because we sold the inventory. On the credit side of inventory, we set cost of sales, name of the other account, and the same amount. Double entry principle was applied. One debit, one credit. Are you fine with this? We wrote in account B8 and in account N2, so let's make sure that we write that there as well. Let me try if I can share this again. We never know, maybe we get lucky. Right, so B8 and N2, doesn't want to share. Are you fine with this? Anybody have a problem with understanding the posting to the general ledger? Okay, are we done? Now listen to me. Now remember, Mr. Sal bought from us. It's far, let's say he's the only debtor you have. He's the only person that you are allowed to buy on account from your shop. How will he know when he must pay? What do you do? You phone him? How will Mr. Sal know that he must come and pay you? How are you going to, because if you don't remind him, he's not going to come and pay. So how are you going to remind him? What are you going to do? Sorry? Think if it's your shop, I owe you the money. How are you going to remind me? Are you going to send me a SMS? You can send me a SMS, that's all right. You can call me also, or an account. A statement. Remember, if I am your only debtor, you can call me, you can send me an SMS, you can send me an email. That's all true. You can do that. But if you have 5 million people, Fushini has more than 5 million people that buy on account from their stores. Will you now make 5 million phone calls? Think how that will be. So you need to send your debtor a reminder. Listen, this is what you owed me at the beginning of the month. This is what you bought during this month. You now owe me so much. you must send that to your debtor. Otherwise, the debtor is going to say, if I don't get the account, I'm going to pay. And I'm sure one day when you have account, if you don't get a reminder, a physical reminder, either via sending the statement over the internet or sending you a WhatsApp or SMS with a photo of the statement reminding you, listen, you must now pay. You are most probably going to not pay, because if you're not reminded, it's in your human nature not to pay them. So we need to send a statement to Mr. Sip, which means that we must first write that statement. You have to prepare the statement before you can send it to him. Now that statement is actually an account. You're sending him a statement of his account. So we now need to make sure that, I need to make sure that you know how that account must look, because the statement is the copy of the account. All of those debtors, anybody who buys from us on account, must have his own account. I cannot, if let's say, it's my shop, Mrs. Duncan and Mrs. Wiegand buys from me. I cannot send Mrs. Duncan all the information and tell her you must phone Mrs. Wiegand and tell her she must come by as well. So I will have to send an account to Mrs. Duncan, everything that she bought on that account, and a separate account to Mrs. Wiegand. Anything that she has bought must be on her account. So we need to have an account for each of our debtors. And as soon as we have accounts, we must have a book to write those accounts in. And that book is called the debtors ledger. So each debtor must have his own account in the debtors ledger. The debtors ledger is just for debtors accounts. In that book, you will only write accounts for the people who are buying from us on account. Are you fine with that? So you now have another ledger. You have a general ledger where you have balance sheet accounts and nominal accounts. Now you have a separate book called the debtors ledger. And in the debtors ledger, you will have accounts for all the debtors, everybody who is buying on account from us. Are you fine with that? Now,